The pot roast sits dead center on my mother's oval dining table, steam curling lazily toward the ceiling. Dad cuts into his portion with the same military precision he's applied to every meal since retiring from the Army Corps of Engineers 15 years ago. The familiar scrape of knife against ceramic grounds me even as tension builds between my shoulder blades. More potatoes, Sierra? Mom pushes the serving bowl toward me, her rings clinking against the ceramic. She's been shooting nervous glances between Dad and Juliet all evening, that little furrow appearing between her brows like it always does when she's hiding something. No thanks. I adjust the collar of my forest green blouse, still creased from a day of presentations at Horizon Renewables. The drive from Austin to San Marcos for these weekly family dinners is becoming harder to justify, especially with the Henderson project deadline looming. Juliet keeps checking her phone under the table, a half smile playing on her lips. At 28, my sister still has the same barely contained excitement she had at 8 when she knew a secret nobody else did. Some things never change in this house, the faded wallpaper, the slight sag in the dining room chairs, and Juliet's transparent emotions. The garden club ladies loved your solar presentation last month, Mom says, filling another awkward silence. Gladys Peterson finally replaced that awful gas guzzler with one of those hybrid things. I nod, taking a careful sip of water. Electric. They're called electric vehicles, Mom. Dad clears his throat, that specific throat clearing that signals the real purpose of this gathering is about to emerge. My fork pauses midair. Marjorie, shall we tell her? His voice carries the expectation of immediate compliance that worked so well during my childhood. Mom brightens, clasping her hands together. We have wonderful news. Juliet will be staying with you for a few months. The green beans turn to sawdust in my mouth. I already packed most of my things, Juliet announces, finally setting down her phone. Moving in this Saturday. She says it casually, like she's mentioning a change in the weather rather than a complete invasion of my personal space. My fork freezes halfway to my mouth. The silence stretches as I process what's happening. They've been planning this. Without asking. Without even a courtesy call. Sierra? Did you hear your mother? Dad prompts, his knife poised over his meat. I set my fork down with deliberate care. Yes, I heard. In my mind, I'm suddenly back in my apartment last night, slipping the key into the lock, feeling that wave of peace wash over me as the door clicked shut behind me. The soft gray walls, the framed project award from the Texas Sustainable Energy Commission, the reading chair angled perfectly by the window, the sanctity of a space that's completely mine after years of chaos. I don't think that will work for me. The words come out measured, calm nothing like the storm brewing inside me. Mom's expression hardens instantly, the gentle smile vanishing. What do you mean it won't work? You have that spare bedroom you're hardly using. It's not spare, it's my home office. Dad waves his hand dismissively, as if my career that pays for that apartment is a trivial hobby. It's just practical, Sierra. Juliet needs a place while her condo complex fixes that water damage. Your place has plenty of room. Juliet stares at her plate, pushing a carrot around with her fork, not jumping to my defense, not acknowledging that this should have been a conversation, not an announcement. I look around at their face expectant, unconcerned, certain of my compliance, and something crystallizes inside me. This isn't new. This is the pattern of my entire life. I'm suddenly 8 years old again, coming home from school to find my bedroom transformed into a guest room for Aunt Patricia and Uncle Frank's month-long visit. My things shoved into Juliet's already crowded space. You're the responsible one, Mom had said. You can handle it. I'm 14, missing the regional science fair I'd worked toward all year because someone needed to watch the younger cousins all summer. Juliet went to tennis camp. I'm 23, working through Christmas to meet a critical deadline while the family expressed their disappointment in my priorities. Nothing has changed. My boundaries still don't matter. No, the word drops from my lips like a stone. Excuse me? Dad's eyebrows shoot up. No, my apartment is not available. Each word comes out clearer, stronger than the last. Mom's lips press into a thin line. After all we've done for you, Sierra Grace, this is how you repay us? Your sister needs help. This is what family does, Dad adds, disappointment heavy in his voice, the same tone that used to send me scrambling to make things right. Juliet finally looks up. I thought you'd be happy to help me out. I mean, you're always alone in that big apartment anyway. I place my napkin beside my plate and stand, hands trembling slightly but voice steady. My home is not a spare room for the family to use. Not without asking. Not without my consent. The silence that follows is thunderous. Mom's mouth opens and closes like a fish. Dad's face flushes red. Juliet looks genuinely shocked, as though the concept of asking permission had never occurred to her. "If you'll excuse me," I say, picking up my purse from the side table. "I need to get back to Austin. I have an early meeting tomorrow." As I walk toward the door, I feel something shift inside me, a weight lifting, a straightening of my spine. For the first time in 31 years, I've said no to my family and meant it. And I'm not sorry. Later that night, the speedometer creeps toward 80 as I drive back to Austin, my knuckles white against the steering wheel. Headlights streak past, blurring into ribbons of gold against the night. My phone buzzes for the 5th time in 20 minutes, another text, another guilt missile launched from the family command center. I won't cry. Not over this. Not again. The Austin skyline rises before me, a constellation of lights against the Texas night sky. Each glowing window represents someone's space, someone's sanctuary. Mine waits for me on the 5th floor of the Westlake Residence, a place I earned through 70-hour work weeks and careful financial planning, not family connections or handouts. My phone vibrates again. Mom this time. "Sierra Grace, call us immediately. Your sister is devastated." I silence the phone and toss it onto the passenger seat. The city draws closer, its familiar outline promising the one thing my family never truly gave me: sovereignty over my own life. When I unlock my apartment door, the silence embraces me like an old friend. I stand motionless in the entryway, seeing my space with new clarity. The soft gray walls. The reading chair angled precisely toward the window. The kitchen where every utensil has its designated spot. My awards displayed without apology. My mind catapults backward without warning. I'm 14, returning from school to find my beloved rock collection labeled, categorized, my scientific pride dumped into a shoebox to make room for Mom's craft supplies on my desk. "You weren't using it," she had said with a dismissive wave. I'm 19, home from college to discover my carefully saved economics textbooks, donated to a cousin without my knowledge. Family shares, Dad had explained when I protested. I'm 26, learning that the vacation days I'd accrued for a photography workshop in Colorado had been volunteered away by my mother. "We told your aunt you'd watch the twins while they're in hospital. It's only 3 days, Sierra. Family first." Always family first. Always Sierra adjusts. Always Sierra accommodates. My temple throbs as I drop my purse onto the counter with a decisive thud. The sound catalyzes something within me. I march to my home office, the room they so casually designated for Juliet, and pull open my filing cabinet. The lease agreement sits in a blue folder, pristine and untouched since signing. I spread the pages across my desk and begin reading each clause with methodical precision, highlighter poised in hand. Page 4. Section 5.2 jumps out at me. Tenant agrees that guests staying longer than 7 consecutive days require management approval and registration. Unauthorized occupants will result in lease violation proceedings. I highlight the text in bright yellow, then take a photograph with my phone. Evidence, ammunition, protection. My laptop hums to life. I type "Tenant Rights Texas" into the search bar and begin creating a document of relevant legal information. The familiar rhythm of research soothes my frayed nerves, replacing emotional chaos with ordered facts. An email to building management forms on my screen, each word carefully selected. "Mr. Reynolds, I'm writing to inform you that I have not authorized any long-term guests for my unit. Should anyone attempt to move in without my consent, please refer to Section 5.2 of the lease agreement. Sierra Callahan, Unit 507. I press send, then pull up the security company's website. 20 minutes and one credit card transaction later, a small camera has been ordered for delivery tomorrow, compatible with my phone for remote monitoring. The clock on my microwave reads 11:38 p.m. when I change the entry code on my digital door lock. The new numbers represent my college graduation date, a moment when I stood entirely on my own achievements. My phone buzzes again. I glance at the screen to see 3 missed calls from Mom, 2 from Dad, and 7 text messages from Juliet, the latest reading. "You're making me look stupid in front of everyone. I already told my friends I was moving to Westlake." I hover my thumb over the block button, then pause. That would only escalate things. Instead, I put the phone face down on the counter and walk to my window. The city stretches below, thousands of lights flickering like earthbound stars. Someone is awake in nearly every window of the building across from mine, reading, talking, simply existing in spaces they've claimed as their own. I press my palm against the cool glass, grounding myself in this moment of clarity. They won't stop at texts and calls. Saturday will bring a confrontation. I need to be prepared. I return to my desk and draft a single response to the family group chat. I attach the photograph of my highlighted lease agreement with no additional comment, then press send. 3 dots appear immediately as someone begins typing a response. I put the phone on Do Not Disturb and set it aside. For the first time in days, I take a deep, unobstructed breath. The air fills my lungs completely, without the familiar tightness that accompanies family interactions. Tomorrow I'll call building security for the weekend to alert them about potential unauthorized visitors. Tonight, I'll sleep in a space that belongs solely to me. Outside my window, the city continues its nocturnal rhythm. Inside, a different cadence emerges, the steady, resolute heartbeat of a boundary finally drawn. Next day, the security camera app chimes on my phone. I swipe it open, my stomach twisting into a familiar knot as a cherry-red SUV pulls into the visitor parking space below. My father climbs out first, squinting up at the building with that calculating expression he wore when inspecting construction sites. Mother emerges next, smoothing her coral blouse with one hand while adjusting her pearl earrings with the other. Then Juliet bounces out, pointing excitedly at the entrance while father unloads the first suitcase. 4 suitcases, I whisper to my empty apartment. They really thought this was happening. My phone buzzes again, the 5th call from mother in 30 minutes. I silence it without looking at the screen. The 3 of them gather around the SUV's open trunk, where boxes labeled Jules winter clothes and bathroom essentials wait to invade my carefully ordered life. Through the security feed, I watch Juliet direct the operation like a seasoned field marshal. Daddy, grab that pink duffel first. Mom, can you carry my hanging clothes? I don't want them wrinkled. My heart hammers against my ribs, but my resolve hardens with each labored beat. I stand in my living room, surrounded by the sanctuary I've built piece by piece. The reading chair angled perfectly to catch morning light, the bookshelf organized by topic and author, the small potted succulents thriving under my consistent care. Everything in its place. Everything chosen by me. When my phone rings again, I press my lips together and power it off completely. Not today, I tell the empty room. Not ever again. Below, the family parade marches toward the lobby entrance, arms loaded with Juliet's possessions. I switch to the interior lobby camera and watch Thompson, the weekend security guard, straighten his posture as they approach the glass doors. "Good morning, folks," Thompson says as they enter, his Texas drawl warm but professional. "Can I help you?" Mother smiles brightly, the same smile she used on my elementary school principal when arguing for Juliet's mid-year classroom transfer. "We're here to see Sierra Callahan. We're her family." "We're moving my daughter in," father adds, already moving toward the elevator bank with the confidence of someone whose authority is rarely questioned. Thompson steps smoothly into their path. "I'm sorry, but Miss Callahan hasn't authorized any guests today." Mother's smile freezes. "Guests? We're not guests, we're family." "Family members still need to be on the approved visitor list, ma'am." Father sets down the suitcase with a thud that echoes through the marble lobby. He draws himself up to his full height, the stance that made teenage Sierra shrink into herself. "Now listen here, young man. We've driven all the way from San Marcos to help our daughter move in. There's been a misunderstanding." "There's no misunderstanding, sir," Thompson replies, unfazed. "Building policy requires resident authorization for all visitors." The elevator doors slide open, and Mr. Reynolds, the building manager, steps out. His silver hair catches the light as he approaches, clipboard in hand. His measured stride reminds me of the documentary I watched last weekend about penguins, deliberate, unhurried, perfectly adapted to his environment. "Is there a problem here?" he asks, his voice carrying the quiet authority of someone who doesn't need to raise it. Mother turns to him, tears already gathering. "We're Sierra's parents. We're helping her sister move in, and there seems to be some confusion with your security staff." Mr. Reynolds consults his clipboard. Miss Callahan in 507? There's no confusion. She specifically notified us yesterday that she has not approved any long-term guests at this time. He produces a laminated document from beneath his clipboard pages. This is our guest policy that all residents agree to upon signing their lease. Section 3 clearly states that all overnight guests must be registered with building management, with explicit consent from the leaseholder. Juliet steps forward, phone pressed to her ear. Sierra's not answering, this is ridiculous. She ends the call and immediately redials, her manicured fingernail jabbing at the screen. I watch the security feed, fascinated by how differently my family behaves in this public setting. At home, Mother's tears would have worked instantly. Father's authoritative tone would have settled matters. Juliet's frustration would have become everyone's emergency. But here, their tactics find no purchase. Mrs. Delaney from 312 strolls through the lobby with her terrier, casting a curious glance at the collection of luggage. Mr. Barton from 206 nods politely as he collects his mail. 3 college students enter laughing, their weekend energy filling the space. Father's face flushes deep red as he realizes there are witnesses to this resistance. His authority, so absolute in our family home, means nothing in this lobby. We're going to discuss this later, Sierra. Mother hisses at the security camera, as if I might materialize from the lens. Juliet collapses dramatically onto her largest suitcase. What am I supposed to do now? Where am I supposed to go? Her voice carries across the lobby, drawing more glances. Father scans the growing audience, his jaw working back and forth before he taps Mother's elbow. Marjorie, let's go. Now. For 30 minutes, I watch them reload the SUV, Father's movements growing increasingly jerky with each trip. Mother dabs at her eyes with a tissue while Juliet slams the trunk with enough force to rock the vehicle. The moment they drive away, my shoulders drop from around my ears. I breathe deeply for what feels like the first time all morning. My laptop pings with a notification. Juliet has posted on Instagram, kicked out by my own blood, family betrayal, homeless, heartbroken. Comments flood in immediately. What happened? That's terrible. Family should come first. You can stay with us if you need to, honey. I can't believe Sierra would do this to you. Aunt Patricia chimes in. Your mother just called me in tears, I'm so disappointed. The comments pile up, each one a small stone of judgment. A familiar heaviness settles in my chest, the weight of disappointing everyone, of being labeled the selfish one, the cold one, the bad daughter. For a moment, doubt creeps in. Would it really have been so terrible to let Juliet stay? Am I making too much of this? I close the laptop and walk to my balcony. The afternoon sun warms my face as I look out over the city that's become my true home. In the distance, the glass towers of downtown Austin catch the light, steadfast and unyielding. Like me, I think of Thompson standing his ground in the lobby, of Mr. Reynolds calmly explaining policy, of boundaries respected without drama or negotiation. My phone rests dark and silent on the counter. When I turn it back on, there will be messages to deal with, fallout to manage. The family storm isn't over. But for now, in this moment, my home remains mine alone. The silence wraps around me like a blanket woven from my own choice. For the first time in my life, my no has been heard. And I'm not taking it back. On Monday, my phone vibrates for the 17th time this morning. I watch the screen light up, then fade to black without touching it. Uncle Robert, this time a man who calls me exactly twice a year, Christmas and my birthday. The coordinated pressure campaign becomes clearer with each notification. Sunlight streams through my kitchen window as I maintain my Sunday ritual. Fresh ground coffee beans, 2 pieces of whole grain toast, strawberry preserves spread corner to corner. The chaos swirling around me will not disturb this small act of normalcy. I've made my decision. Complete silence is my only response. I take a sip of coffee, savoring the bitter warmth as another text arrives. Aunt Patricia now, her message beginning with, "We're all so worried." I place the phone face down on the counter. Wednesday brings escalation I should have anticipated. My assistant Darlene buzzes my office intercom shortly after lunch. Sierra, your mother is in the lobby. Says it's urgent family business. I steady my breathing. Please tell her I'm in meetings all afternoon. Building security has a visitor approval list. She's not on it. 3 hours later, my colleague Marcus leans against my office doorframe. Got a weird call from your dad. Said he couldn't reach you. Wanted to make sure you were okay. His eyebrows lift in question. Family situation, I say, keeping my voice neutral. Nothing to worry about. He mentioned your sister needs a place to stay. Did he ask you to talk to me about it? Marcus crosses his arms. Now that you mention it, yeah. I nod, turning back to my monitor. That's what I thought. By Thursday morning, my inbox contains messages from 3 of Juliet's friends, all expressing concern with suspiciously similar phrasing. The circumvention of my boundaries grows more creative by the hour. I document each attempt in a spreadsheet. Time, person, method, exact wording. The pattern emerges in cold, hard data. By that same evening, I draft a single email to my parents and Juliet. No greeting, no sign-off. Just 3 attachments. 1. My lease agreement. Section 5.2 highlighted. Residents must obtain written management approval for guests staying longer than 72 hours. 2. Building policy on unauthorized guests, including security protocols. 3. A brief statement. I request no contact for 1 week. This is not negotiable. I click send, then immediately create an email auto-reply. I am unavailable until further notice. Urgent work matters can be directed to Marcus Chen. The family crisis unfolds exactly as I anticipated. Carla from yoga texts me Friday night. Had coffee with Juliet today. She's sleeping on Amber's couch. Says you kicked her out with nowhere to go. I don't respond. My neighbor Ellen catches me at the mailboxes Saturday. Your father called our HOA president asking for a copy of the building bylaws about family members. Strange request. I nod. Thank you for letting me know. Reports filter in from mutual acquaintances. My parents tell anyone who will listen about their selfish eldest daughter. The church prayer chain has apparently added me to their list of troubled souls. But something unexpected happens as the week progresses. When examined closely, their narrative begins to crumble. Did they really try to move your sister in without asking first? Ellen asks, skepticism clear in her voice. Yes. That's not how it works. She squeezes my arm briefly before walking away. Next week, Marcus stops by my office on Monday. Your dad called again. When I mentioned that forcing someone to take in a roommate seemed inappropriate, he got defensive, said I didn't understand family obligations. I continue typing my report. And what did you think about that? That I'm glad my parents still ask before they visit. By Sunday evening, the first cracks appear. A text from Juliet arrives. Can we talk? Just us? I don't respond. Mother's voicemail tone shifts from accusatory to pleading. Sierra, honey, perhaps we could discuss this over lunch. My treat. The most surprising change comes in my father's message, his voice uncharacteristically hesitant. Sierra, Douglas Callahan here. Your mother and I have been thinking. Perhaps we moved too quickly with Juliet's situation. Call when you can. I note each message in my spreadsheet, marking the shift in tone with timestamp and exact wording. My week of silence expires tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. I've already prepared what I'll say, rehearsed the conversation from every angle, anticipated their responses. Tonight I pour a glass of wine and stand on my balcony. The city lights spread before me, thousands of homes with their own family dramas unfolding behind illuminated windows. For the first time in my life, I've held a boundary without apology, without compromise, without doubt. The silent power move has worked better than any words could have. Next week, Wednesday, the Lone Star Cafe sits precisely halfway between my apartment complex and my parents' house at 12 miles in either direction. I arrived 20 minutes early to claim the corner booth with its high, cushioned backs and clear view of both entrances. No surprises today. 3 ceramic mugs steam on the wooden table. Black coffee for Dad, Earl Grey for Mom, and a chai latte with almond milk for Juliet. A glass of water sits at my place, untouched. I've positioned myself facing the door, back straight against burgundy upholstery, dressed in a charcoal pencil skirt and forest green blouse that says professional meeting rather than family chat. Small power moves matter. The bell above the door jingles at exactly 2 p.m. My family enters in formation, Dad first, then Mom, Juliet trailing behind. Their faces register surprise at finding me already settled with drinks waiting. First advantage, mine. Sierra, honey. Mom slides into the booth, immediately reaching for my hand across the table. I withdraw it casually to adjust my napkin. Dad remains standing for a moment. assessing the situation before sitting down heavily. His weathered face hardens as he notices I've placed him directly beneath the air conditioning vent. He shifts uncomfortably but doesn't complain. "You ordered for us," Juliet states, eyeing her chai latte with a hint of suspicion. "How did you know what I wanted?" "You've ordered the same thing since high school." I fold my hands on the table, waiting. Dad clears his throat, that familiar, authoritative rumble designed to command attention in army briefing rooms decades ago. "Sierra, after all we've done for you. We raised you with family values." Mom interrupts, her wedding rings clinking against her mug. "Family helps family. That's how we brought you up." Juliet leans forward, her rehearsed speech tumbling out with practiced sincerity. "I wouldn't ask if I weren't desperate. The water damage in my building will take months to repair, and all my friends have roommates already, and hotels are so expensive, and your apartment has that extra room just sitting there," Dad finishes. "It's the sensible solution." I listen without blinking, without fidgeting, without revealing the thunderstorm brewing beneath my breastbone. Their words flow around me like water around a stone, familiar currents of guilt, obligation, and family duty. Their coordinated approach confirms what I suspected. They planned this ambush together, just like the dinner. When silence finally falls, I take a single sip of water before setting the glass down with a deliberate clink. "This isn't about a spare room," I say, my voice quiet but firm. "It's about respect." The word hangs between us like a challenge. Mom's fingers freeze mid-gesture. For 31 years, I've lived with the assumption that my space, my time, and my resources belong to this family more than they belong to me. I maintain eye contact with each of them in turn. "When I was 8, you gave my bedroom to Aunt Patricia without asking. When I was 14, you volunteered me to watch the cousins all summer while Juliet went to tennis camp. When I was 23, I missed the Henderson project launch because Dad said Grandma needed me for Christmas dinner." Dad shifts in his seat, his coffee untouched. "Family obligations." "No." The single syllable stops him cold. "Those weren't obligations. They were decisions made about my life without my input or consent." My hands remain steady on the table. "You don't get to make decisions about my life without asking. Not anymore." A strange silence settles over our booth while nearby. The coffee shop buzzes with afternoon customers. A barista calls out an order. Someone laughs by the window. Normal life continues while my family processes this fundamental shift in our universe. Juliet stares into her chai, her finger tracing the rim of the mug. "I just assumed you'd say yes," she finally admits, her voice smaller than I've heard it in years. "Like always." Dad tugs at his collar, his authority visibly deflating. "We've always counted on you to be the responsible one." Responsible doesn't mean available for everyone's convenience. I lean forward slightly. "I bought my apartment with my money, from my work. The second bedroom is my office, where I prepare presentations that keep my team employed. It's not a spare room waiting for family allocation." Mom's defensive posture slowly relaxes, her shoulders dropping an inch. "We should have asked," she concedes, though the words clearly cost her. "Yes, you should have." "So what now?" Dad asks, attempting to regain control of the conversation. "How do we move forward from here?" I've prepared for this question. Simple. When you want something from me time, my space, my resources, you ask directly. You accept my answer, whether it's yes or no. No guilt trips, no family pressure campaigns, no end runs around my boundaries. I look at each of them in turn, and if these boundaries aren't respected, there will be consequences. Fewer visits, less contact. My choice. Mom's eyes widen. "You would cut us off?" "I would protect myself." I correct her. "Because I love you all, but love requires respect." The silence that follows has a different quality, heavier, more significant. For the first time in my life, I've named the problem plainly, without cushioning it to spare their feelings. Dad is the first to stand, signaling the end of our meeting. "We should go." His voice lacks its usual command. Mom follows, her movements stiff. Juliet lingers a moment longer, meeting my eyes with unexpected clarity before nodding once and sliding out of the booth. I remain seated as they file toward the exit, back straight but somehow diminished. Through the window, I watch them cross the parking lot, no longer in formation but scattered, processing separately. The elderly woman at the next table catches my eye as she collects her purse. "Good for you, honey." she whispers with a knowing nod. Took me 60 years to learn that trick. I lift my water glass in silent salute and take a long, cool sip. The storm in my chest has passed, leaving behind the clear, calm certainty of a boundary well defended. 3 weeks after the cafe confrontation, I settle into my evening ritual. The city lights of Austin twinkle through my balcony doors as I curl into my reading chair, a steaming cup of chamomile on the side table. The novel in my lap remains unopened as I breathe in the peaceful silence of my apartment. No unexpected footsteps. No borrowed items mysteriously relocated. Just the soft hum of the air conditioning and the occasional distant car horn from the street below. My phone chirps with a notification. Juliet's name appears on the screen, and my stomach tightens. Old habits die hard. But instead of the usual demand packaged as a request, I find a photo attachment. The image shows a modest apartment in Round Rock. Sunlight streams through vertical blinds onto laminate flooring. A set of keys dangles from fingers I recognize as my sister's, the copper-colored nail polish catching the light. Her message follows, "Thanks for pushing me to grow up at the right time." A genuine smile spreads across my face as I type back. "It looks perfect for you. Need a housewarming gift? I know a place that sells the best throw pillows in Austin." The past 3 weeks have revealed a family transformation I never imagined possible. Mother called yesterday about Sunday dinner. "Would you like to join us this weekend? We understand if you have other plans." The question mark at the end of her sentence felt revolutionary. Father phoned last week about Thanksgiving. "Sierra, we're thinking about the holiday schedule. What works best with your calendar this year?" The direct question nearly made me drop the phone. My phone buzzes again with another photo from Juliet, this one showing a small dining table with a potted plant centerpiece. "First real place, that's all mine, still figuring out decorating. Help this weekend?" I run my finger along the edge of my phone, remembering our shopping trip to Target last Saturday. Pushing a cart down the home goods aisle, Juliet had paused by a display of storage bins. "You know what's weird?" she'd said, examining a turquoise container. "Mom and Dad always made it easier to depend on you than figure things out myself." The honesty had hung between us, fragile but real. "It wasn't just them," I'd replied. "I let it happen too." She'd nodded, dropping the bin into our cart. We all did. Now, looking at her apartment photos, I feel something unfamiliar: pride without resentment. Our relationship isn't healed overnight, but the foundation feels sturdier, built on something more authentic than obligation. The calendar notification on my refrigerator catches my eye. Family dinner, my place, 6 p.m. Tonight marks another first, my family visiting my apartment by invitation rather than assumption. When the doorbell rings at precisely 6, I open it to find all three standing in the hallway. Mother holds a bouquet of yellow tulips. "May I put these in water?" she asks, waiting for my answer before stepping toward the kitchen. Father nods approvingly at the framed project award on my wall. "The Henderson solar installation. That was your design?" "My team's," I answer, noticing how he actually listens to my response. Juliet bounces on her toes, excitement radiating from her. "Wait till you hear about my job interview. The apartment manager at my complex thinks I'd make a good leasing consultant." The same physical space that once felt threatened now rings with conversation that respects its boundaries. The same dining table that could have become a battleground of resentment now holds dishes passed with please and thank you. Last week at work, I found myself mentoring Amber, a young engineer facing similar family pressure. "My parents want me to move back home to save money," she'd confessed during our lunch break. "They don't understand why I need my own place." "Boundaries aren't walls," I told her, surprising myself with the lack of bitterness in my voice. "They're just the door where you keep the key." Standing on my balcony after dinner, watching my family drive away with plans made for next month, I feel the weight of my phone in my pocket. A notification appears, a holiday invitation from my parents. I type my response with calm certainty. "I'd love to come. What can I bring?" Some spaces must be claimed, not given. But once claimed, they become not just a sanctuary from others, but a place where others can be welcomed in your terms.